Good day. And we are the Green Team, and we are going to be presenting our software design for Wordpress, which is a product that will make the lives of anyone hoping to deliver engaging news media content much easier. And there physically with you, you have Corey O'Donnell, Edward Kennedy, and Jonathan Perez. And shooting over across the interwebs, you have me, Diamond Wiggins, and Eric Witcher. All right, so over the years, there has been an uprising of digital media consumption. And there are a lot of people who get their news online now. And in order to hold the attention spans of those readers, there needs to be captivating writing and high-quality digital media and interactive content production. And because we as, human beings, we love things to be pretty and flashy and animated, Everyone loves the movies with a bunch of explosions in them because they keep our attention. And we don't need explosions on a website, but they do need to keep your attention with interesting content. All right. And student journalists, they have a lack of technical training for the required skill sets of web development. They simply just don't develop those skills over the course of, getting the degree, most of them anyway. And to make up for that, modern university news organizations use complex digital publishing platforms or content management systems. And they have to use these systems to try to integrate rich media, throughout the website. All right. And our case study, the Mace and Crown, which is, our student university newspaper here, they're no different. They want to deliver relevant and dynamic content to increase the engagement of their readers. And we initially set out to do this with just trying to elevate their climate change stories, but now we've broadened that up a little bit, and we want to give them a platform, and any other university newspapers, a platform to, elevate all the stories that they make. And, our tool, Monarch Press, would be, our tool, Monarch Press, would be the factor that would help them, present their content in a captivating way. All right, so the Mace and Crown writers and editors, they need a product that, with the features that are going to be necessary to compete with other news organizations. And this is a little bit difficult because more prominent news organizations like, CNN, MSNBC, they're going to have, an abundant amount of resources to stay globally and digitally connected. And the Mace and Crown needs to compete with these news organizations while not necessarily having some of the same advantages that other news outlets have. And here is the current process flow for the Mace and Crown. And what's really going on here is primarily after they decide to run a story, content is aggregated. And that consists of interviews being done and online research. And then that content is printed to the university newspaper and then pushed to the university news media website. Now, what's wrong here is that while that content that'll suffice for the university newspaper to be printed there, more needs to be done to it before it goes to the website, and it needs to be presented in a visually appealing way. And we could clean that up by having better social media integration, whitelisted Twitter feeds, guest columnists, reputation-based discussion, and a framework for those continuously contributing, a framework for them to easily keep updating the stories and the articles that they write. And here is the solution process flow with Monarch Press, our product. And as you can see, nothing really changes up until the point where it's time for the content to be pushed to the university newspaper website. So, the content that's gathered with, online research and the interviewees, that's still fine to be pushed in the newspaper. But when it's time to get that content to the website, we need our product, which is going to have a content management system so that you can have a page layout engine to, dynamically create any web pages you might need for a story, a news aggregation algorithm, interdepartment discussion forum, and a data visualization framework.
What's the word under university academic? I'm looking at the display here, and the print thing is so small.
Community. It looks beautiful
university
on this.
academic.
It looks really good on this screen on the record.
Okay.
It's just that one that doesn't look good.
And actually, I was going to mention that next. Monarch Press, our product, will be able to take advantage of the intellectual hub that a university provides, because we have a lot of different professors and researchers here, and a bunch of different, I don't know what the word is, but a bunch of different professors that do well in whatever it is that they do.
Okay, but
whether it's climate change.
But they're not. In other words, you're not filling up a web page that they go look at according to this diagram. Is that correct? They have their
right.
own
Well, what was that last part? What did you say?
They have their own hook. Monarch Press is your stuff. Okay, that's fine. And it produces the university newspaper website or fills it properly, okay, for the common end user to play with. But this diagram shows the academic community accessing your product rather than going right to the website. Is that the way this is envisioned, or is the website made for God and country, and then this diagram is wrong?
Right. That the university academic community, professors like yourself or anyone doing research, will be able to, just like journalists, contribute and provide content through Monarch Press to the website themselves. So I mean that's what we envision for that there.
So this
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
It's an N.
It's an N.
Okay, then but looking at the other one, the end user then is backwards. Is that right? Because they're getting stuff out.
Oh, yes.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, the arrow.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Oh,
That
okay.
last arrow is wrong. Okay.
Okay, I apologize.
No, I don't apologize. We make mistakes. It's not a big deal.
All right. And now Eric is going to talk to all of you about our major functional components.
So, by and large, the biggest and most influential legacy component that we're working with is a WordPress managed website that the Mason Crown is using right now to deliver their content. We're going to build on top of that framework. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We had
Sorry,
a
was I
frozen
too far
picture
away?
of Diamond's sour-looking face, so I wanted your face up on the screen.
You ran off all the other people.
Okay, now please continue.
Okay. All right. So saying that the largest and most influential legacy component that we're dealing with is a WordPress managed website that the Mason Crown is currently using to deliver their content. Our product is going to build on top of that framework so that the Mason Crown editors and writers do not have to relearn an entirely new content management system. We want to build on top of that. The most important components that Google has requested from us are drag and drop editing capabilities for articles and blog posts and long format pieces, and also to be able to edit themes and page templates in a similar way. They would like to have dynamic feeds from social media and be able to integrate aggregated news feeds that are relevant to the stories to have a custom news feed that is relevant to a story. So say a news sidebar or say relevant stories at the bottom of a page. Once you're done reading a story, you can then see other relevant stories, either from the Mason Crown or from other news organizations. Then they, of course, are interested in those flashy, interactive data visualization, other video and media elements that are going to capture people's attention and keep people on the site. So we need to integrate those things in a way that's aesthetically pleasing and works with the flow of the articles so that they both keep people's attention but also don't stop people from reading the rest of the story. And then we're going to provide management features for some of the community interactions, guest contributions, managing our social media feeds, and the other features that we implement there. This is our diagram of the things that I've just described. On the right, in the giraffe gray looking box, is the existing Mason Crown deployment. It's a basic WordPress setup. It runs on either a LAMP or a LEMP stack with an Apache or Nginx server, PHP, MySQL, and is delivering their existing website. Then our product is over here on the left in a nice blue colorful box, and we'll be interfacing with their existing WordPress installation primarily via the WordPress API, although there will be external calls via Twitter search API, probably an OAuth social login for some of those things, and through those calls through WordPress, we will likely use that existing stack to deliver new areas or new widgets and components through their website. Our roles are both on the left and the right. We have editors, journalists, guest contributors, and bloggers. Now that I'm looking at this again, we do not have an admin on this page, but we do have admin, user stories, and elements to manage some of these things. All right, let's go to the next thing. So talking about our solution design, we've touched on some of these things already. We're working on top of WordPress, which is open source. Our product will also be open source and available to other university news organizations who would like to integrate it into their content management system. WordPress is very commonly utilized. So I already hit on some of the things that Jugal and the Mason Crown would like to see. In discussing their climate change problem, we've talked about having living documents that can be updated and changed and dynamically grow. And a couple of the features that we want to see along with that are users being able to sign up for notifications via favoriting a page and having that added to the user profile. And then when the page is updated, it can grab all the people who have favorited that page and shoot them a notification. Then content aggregation, syndicated news feed, adding those interactive content elements, maps, graphs, other data visualization items, and readers being able to interact and be more engaged with the content that the Mason Crown has to offer. So our hardware requirements right now, we do not have a lot to talk about. The Mason Crown is running on a GoDaddy managed WordPress account. It's a shared hosting plan. They have, according to Jugal, roughly 8.7K unique monthly visitors and about 25,000 monthly page views. So there are volume limits on their GoDaddy hosting. I believe that they can hit about 3 times their current traffic before they'd have to upgrade to the next plan. But upgrading should not be a huge deal. They would just have to upgrade the plan, and GoDaddy can bump them up to a bigger shared server with more bandwidth and more RAM. Okay. So as we start talking about software requirements, For user interfaces, the biggest, most important elements are the drag and drop editing interface for stories and templates and themes, and in those elements, being able to integrate the interactive elements and some of the content widgets that we've discussed. The storage and database will be used for storing some of these customizations that we're discussing, and we'll have to cache some of the feeds we're aggregating. The Twitter search API has rate limiting, so we'll have to go out and search those things occasionally and cache the data. And then we'll have some user profile data, favorites, notifications, and comments. The interfaces, legacy interfaces, primarily WordPress database and API. It is relatively robust and provides quite a variety of ways to hook into the pages being served. We'll also be utilizing the Twitter API for some of our social media elements, and probably try to integrate some OAuth for social media sharing. And back again with our algorithms, the biggest thing here is drag and drop editing. It's going to be the biggest problem to solve, the most complex thing. And then other than that, we have a variety of things that will need to be rendered, and little chunks of HTML that'll have to be passed back to pages, and our feed aggregation. We'll have to go out and grab the things that we need to grab and cache them, and then serve them up as, again, chunks of web pages to our templates. The last thing here, these are just WordPress requirements. We've already talked about them in the functional components. We probably will not interface with these things directly as long as the Mason Crown is using a shared hosting, managed hosting server, but we do need to keep in mind that we will be dealing with PHP, writing a WordPress plugin, and there are some technical limitations that do come along with working with a MySQL database and running on these platforms.
Now I'm going to discuss, briefly discuss how the Monarch Press is going to interface with commercial off-the-shelf softwares and legacy systems. The way that Monarch Press is going to interface with WordPress API is it's going to send it function hooks, and it's pretty much just going to get back the requested action of those function hooks. It's pretty cut and dry. The way Monarch Press works with social media APIs is first Monarch Press has to send out OAuth tokens so that they have the credentials to be able to respond back and whatnot. They're going to send back, or they're going to send search criteria using the REST transfer protocol. And it's pretty much just an architecture for design network applications. And it's going to get a response back in the form of JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. It's pretty important. It's pretty easy for humans to read and write, and it's easy for computers to parse and generate as well. Discus is the third interface. It's the current comment system that the Mason Crown currently uses. It is going to expect JSON data from Monarch Press, and it's going to respond back with just API responses, email notifications, and comments for archiving. WordPress Social kind of works the same way as social media. It's got to get the OAuth stuff, and it's just going to respond back with user profiles and friends lists after the search criteria is received. Next, I'm going to send you to Diamond to talk about agile development.
All right, so we decided that, when it comes time to code this thing up, that we're going to go with some agile development. And this is because, we need to be flexible to the needs of the university news media outlets as we're stepping through, each iteration in our development process. And this is, going to be a product that many people are going to interface with. Like I mentioned before, the university academic community, and editors and journalists. And we'll also be, prioritizing product features and maximizing collaboration by, embracing each other's experiences. And here is our work breakdown. So, we have user interfaces and, our commercial off-the-shelf and legacy interfaces, data storage. Then, we have a bunch of algorithms that we have. And for the user interfaces, we have readers, contributors, journalists, editors, and administrators. And for the interfaces, as Jonathan just went over with all of you, we have the WordPress plugin API, the Twitter API, Discuss, and some type of OAuth or WordPress social login. For data storage, we're going to have, images and videos and interactive elements and, page layout engine data that we're going to be having to store. And then for our algorithms, I won't go over all of these, but some of the most important ones are, the content display and content editing, the Twitter and news feed display, the Twitter and news aggregation, and also, content visibility for dynamic permissions.
I'm going to go over, we kind of split all the user stories up between 5 different user roles. We have the reader, contributor, journalist, editor, and admin. The first one would be the reader stories. They can view like the Mason Crown's content, such as images and videos, and the interactive and digital visualization elements. They can receive notifications about their favorite content or articles that they want to get notifications if things change, such as they edit the article or someone comments on it. They could also share the article on Facebook or Twitter or something if they want to. They can also comment and discuss the article underneath it. And the readers can also view user profiles. They can view the other people's favorite articles and also edit their own favorite articles if they please. One of the algorithms to go along with the reader is to display all the content. It collects things such as the user agent, screen resolution, and the user preferences. And then it takes that information and then puts it into a template and then renders HTML and loads widgets such as news and Twitter aggregation alongside it. The media element display algorithm is used to display all the interactive diagrams and stuff. It uses the type of, it looks up the type of media the user's using, such as a smartphone, tablet, desktop, and it will adjust the rendered size of the interactive material so it's more compatible and looks good on all devices. The favorite notification widget, it uses information, the user's information, so it can display whether the user is already favorited or an option so they can favorite it. And once the user, if the user were to click on the favorite icon, it'll pretty much toggle it. So it'll allow them to click it again and unfavorite it so they won't receive notifications. The Twitter feed, this will pull tweets from whitelisted and predetermined hashtags and display it in the scrolling feed next to the article. It'll periodically look up and see if the cache is out of date and then recache it if needed.
What defines out of date?
Defines the date.
What defines out of date?
Probably every single time it looks at it, it'll probably, if it's not the current time, it'll probably look at it again.
You sort of defeat the purpose of the cache, right?
Well,
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want me to answer that?
yeah, yes.
Okay. I actually, I'm trying to remember the exact rate limiting number of requests that we can do to the search API.
for Twitter?
I could look it up. I don't have it on the top of my head.
I believe the Twitter limit is, I believe, 1,000 every 15 minutes for the pre-developer account.
Okay, and yeah, that sounds right. So we should not be anywhere near that limit. I mean, I don't know, Twitter does move relatively quickly, so it's something that we'll want to refresh more often than, say, perhaps a news feed where, news articles are not necessarily posted, like millions of tweets a second are.
Storage really expensive is the point.
Well, so a Twitter feed display, like, we can get rid of older tweets relatively indiscriminately. This isn't going to be the sort of thing where a user can scroll back days and days of history on the Twitter feed on our page. They're just going to be able to click and see X number of recent tweets and just see what's going on in the most recent tweets from our whitelisted users.
Okay.
And the newsfeed display is very similar to the Twitter, except for instead of pulling tweets, it's pulling different news articles from whether it's through Mace and Crown itself or other news companies, and it'll display alongside next to the article. The contributor user role, they can do everything a reader can do, but they can also post new blogs or guest articles. They can edit and submit revisions for existing content. So if someone realized, their article's wrong, they can suggest a change to it. They can also post to the Twitter feed by using a predetermined hashtag that will update alongside the article. And I'm going to pass it off to Eric to talk about the journalist's role.
You are muted.
You're muted, Eric.
Sorry about that.
It's just a
I said,
talking
Professor
head.
Brunel, you sat down too soon. We have more to look at. But, all right, so journalist, again, can do everything that a reader contributor to do. It's a higher permissions level. Journalists can also create new content items that include news articles or things like climate change articles that might be an ongoing or a living document that is updated over time. Journalists may also have the ability to modify appearance of certain approved template elements to give them the ability to customize page appearance. The example that Jewel has used that he wanted to see was, say, being able to add a hero image across the top of a page.
You had
And
the individual articles? I mean, you want someone who's coming in and filming with somebody else's?
No, they can only edit, well, for a journalist permission, they can only edit articles that they are the author of. And journalists...
I just wanted to make sure something like that so we didn't have
But I
the
think
common man wandering in and changing everything.
but you may want to give permission to another journalist, so I think there does need to be some type of system
Friend. Right out of C++.
process in place to allow you to
I like
tag
that.
Yes.
other contributors.
Editor.
Now, and one of the user stories
multiple
I
authors on a story.
yeah. So you do need some kind of content management element. But the
I
other
was also
thing here
going to say,
on the journalist thing, the case, I've been waiting for this. One of the things the journalist should be able to do is identify the keywords that are going to be used.
Okay.
And because you don't,
add tags to their own story.
yes, and then what you can do is when the reader sees the story, they'll be able to hover over the title or something to be able to see what those specific tags are, but somebody's got to build them.
Okay.
That's a good point.
We have not actually listed all of our user stories on these slides, just for the sake of brevity.
Your little
And
something.
Yes.
But I also wanted to say, as far as editing goes, journalists and contributors, at least as we've currently got it set up and we have been talking about it, all of their submitted changes have to go through an editor. So when they make some changes and say, okay, I'm ready to go, they submit it, and an editor gets a notification and reviews those changes, and then can hit yes or no on publishing that to go public. To prevent. Sorry.
Yes.
What?
Like a real newspaper.
Oh yeah.
That
To
was the
prevent
idea.
the journalists from defacing the site or
Calling the mayor a dickhead or something.
All right. So do I need to talk about 27, or did we sort of already cover that?
You covered it.
Content
Yeah.
editing.
Switch it off.
We wanna beat the
We'll never
horse.
Get to the slide 60.
Is that
Yeah.
how we're starting?
63.
Oh, we gotta go faster. Let's go faster.
All right. So Twitter feed activation. Blah, blah, blah. The editor can do all the lower privilege things, drag and drop page builder, can create or modify a new site theme or duplicate a site theme or
Next,
Okay, next slide.
we're trying to catch up here.
all right.
You want me to just skip over the
No.
editing stuff? No?
Yeah, the SU content editing is the same as normal content editing, except it doesn't need editor approval. They can just
Okay.
So
send it live.
this is the administrator of the system.
Well, this is the editor. There's another admin role that's separate.
This is essentially pseudo on the admin.
Okay. Okay.
Submission approval rejection is just like it sounds. Articles go to editors and have to be approved or rejected. There's also rejection with comment, so they can tell why it was rejected.
Sure.
No, that was that one.
Content visibility or deletion, hide or make public existing stories, and or delete them altogether.
Good.
Newsfeed aggregation, search through the Mace and Crown, or search, say Associated Press articles and grab a title and grab the first line and cache it and
Does the Mason Crown have
search
a
by-
hook of them now?
Jugal, I believe, did say that they had something with the Associated Press, but I don't think they use it.
But yeah, it's something that
Much else either, but
The management is simply specifying keywords. You go to the next slide. It's
fine.
displaying the keywords, giving the option to delete, letting the editors enter a new keyword or something that they want a news feed to be searched by. Twitter feed, add a user to the whitelist, add a hashtag, remove a user.
I'm having trouble keeping up with you.
It's not remove a user. Remove a user account.
Yeah, well, yeah, remove a
Got a couple people
Twitter
dressed
user.
like the Godfather, but they aren't really.
Okay.
Glad I brought
And
that.
then the admin can do anything anybody else can do, and we'll have access to adjust user roles and permissions, and
Who would they be now? This is for the Monarch thing that you're doing. So who would be that now? I'm just curious. I'm not. Maybe we don't
right
know.
now,
We don't have a
It
specific
appears-
name.
no, right now it appears that they have one account set up for their WordPress site, and everybody logs in through the one account and
Jesus.
posts their crap.
It's not so set up. It's not set up so well right now.
Oh yeah, they could be hacked every 3 days.
They have some issues.
Oh, they are.
That's something we're
Boy, that's the most
Talking
important
about-
user story is we cannot be hacked.
Yeah.
We went to their page yesterday and someone wiped all their code off.
There's just random characters and stuff. It was
Oh,
not
how
pretty.
sad.
And GoDaddy doesn't let you set up proper passwords.
And I think Core's gonna go this one.
For the sitemap, you'll have from the main page, you have 4 different options you can go to. You can go to an article, which has all of the interactive data, the comments, the aggregated Twitter feed and news feed. You can go to a user profile, which if you're logged in, you could edit your preferences and your current favorites, and also adjust keywords. Because we were thinking about we could aggregate all news articles, get notifications if you just wanted an article about climate. Any article they write about climate, you would get notified for. Then the other one, the third option would be to enter something new. So a contributor can enter a guest article or a blog, or an editor can actually create the new article, select from a template. Or, well, if they select a template, they'll still get brought to the drag and drop editor, or they can just go straight to the drag and drop editor, which in the end is just, you can drag text boxes and title.
But you're going to have a login system here so that you
Yeah.
can differentiate between various people.
Yeah, login's got to be right under
Main
main
page.
page. Well, actually on the main page,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
And the point then is, so let's say I'm Dr. Weigel, and I have just finished my visualization course project grading, and I want to now make that available to the Mason Crown. Which page would I be on for that?
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I
like
need that role too.
Okay. Okay.
And I think we're missing that set of user stories. And we need to create the pages for those types of submissions, which would then mean that there needs to be a notification algorithm associated to notify the editor or whomever that new content has been
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah.
The editor could then add the hashtag to that document so that it would now that's my question, does it dynamically get populated to the Monarch Press article, or does the editor have to then physically, manually add it?
The editor passes judgment on it, so there's got to be some yay or
You
nay.
got to have somebody that says, yeah, that's a quality, and yes, it is the associated, and this is the hashtag with which it should be associated. But what I'm asking is, does Monarch Press then recognize that a new hashtag, a new something with the corresponding hashtag for that article exists and automatically renders it within the page? Or are all of these new associations for the page, such as your tweets and your news articles, are they all passed judgment on before the editor, or they dynamically add it? Is it a manual or dynamic process? I want the answer, one word or the other.
Probably dynamic.
Probably dynamic.
That's not one word.
Dynamic.
And I haven't seen that throughout the presentation.
Okay.
That hasn't been clarified for me.
Okay.
So we need to.
Well, I mean, I would just say that pulling in from a Twitter whitelist still will be dynamic, but the point of having a whitelist is to limit it to trusted user accounts.
Yeah, but I'm talking about faculty contributed information.
Okay,
I would
for
expect-
an
right.
article.
Right, or a visualization diagram, or an interactive graphical suite. So when you guys were discussing this, my first thought was throughout the document, someone, either the journalist or the editor, can go in and highlight words and hashtag them, so that if I find a news feed with that hashtag, the news feed gets approved by the editor. The next time somebody renders that page, wherever that word was highlighted, that will come in
Oh, okay.
and be associated there because it relates there.
Okay.
Okay.
So, if you think about it, if I'm reading this article, I'm going to start off with the history of Norfolk, okay? And then it's going to go into the areas that were built first. And then it's going to go into the change of the title system and erosion of which areas, or the addition of new port facilities that, change the ecology. And so the article is going to progress, right? It's going to start with one topic, it's going to move on and move on and move on. So as a journalist, I want to be able to say in paragraph 4, that's where I'm talking about the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to tag that paragraph with ecosystem, and then if it's searched for on CNN and it finds a good article about Norfolk and our ecosystem, it would put it right there at that area so that it just makes sense to the reader.
Yeah.
I don't just want this stuff showing up anywhere, right? It's got to be associated, but each thing that the tweet feed, I agree, that should be dynamic by trusted people.
Contributors.
But the other things that I pull in or that are contributed by the community or by faculty or by students, that should be edited. And then they don't know the associated hashtags. So somebody's got to then tag each of them appropriately. So Norfolk ecosystem, so that it's rendered appropriately on the page. So that's what I was envisioning.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Did you go over the admin stuff?
And then we have one option for the admin, or one page for the admin, which would do the user permissions and article permissions.
Okay.
And I'm going to pass it to Ed.
So we have a high level, main
Yeah, I can
tables
see that really well.
that we're looking at in database. User, article, blog, privileges, roles. All these at a high level are what are the basis of what is needed for what we're going to be working with.
You're missing the whole hashtag aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gone. That's not here.
Yeah.
Here you go, next one.
Yeah. And so here is kind of the relation of what all those tables will be doing. Like for a user, you have a role, user role, which is kind of like a join table that a user could have many roles. And so you have a role that, and then you have a role that your table that is role. Word. Role privilege. That's another join table that a role could have many privileges. And so a user going back, a user with a certain role could do many functions like an admin.
A user could have many roles.
That's correct.
Your next one?
Yeah. And so,
Let's go back.
okay.
Tell us.
Why are everybody, I'm really big on name convention. How come here you're using user underscore ID and here you're using a different convention for names where each following word is capitalized?
Here it goes again.
Naming convention is not consistent.
Yeah, you are correct.
And table names aren't capitalized.
Yes, that is. Yeah.
But
They're all the same.
so again, because you're missing the contributor role,
Yes.
then all these things will have to be modified a little bit
Yes,
for
sir.
contributors. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll go to that. But part of what we have is it's flexible, right? We have the ability to add privileges to roles to users, so that it's flexible and scalable down the road.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Changing privileges to role, that's a two-step thing. Why not have roles that have fixed privileges and just adjust the people accordingly?
You could do that, but do lose flexibility, I think.
Are you going to let them do that, or are you going to have to do it developmentally? And that brings up maintainability of this thing after.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
I wouldn't turn the newspaper people loose on it.
No. Well, that's where you have separations of responsibility of an admin. That, what's their job going to be?
True enough.
So.
But they're going to have to know what the hell they're doing.
That's.
You just can't pick the head guy over there and make him admin and turn him loose on it.
Okay, go to the next one. You gotta hurry up.
Yeah, so just here we have a quick illustration of the user that's connect to an article. Basically, they'd be the in this case the author of that article. You have users in a different role, would comment that also go towards an article. Same thing with blogs. Jewel was also telling us that you'd like to have a kind of editorial type stuff where you can have.
You're limiting it to 255 characters.
A comment. That's.
I would change it. Was that listed as a bar chart there?
Yeah.
Change it to a text.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
That's arbitrary size, right?
Yeah.
And it can use some search features.
Yeah. I saw that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Okay, next.
And in notifications, we have a kind of like a join table there for notifications where a user and article are kind of joined together, so you can see whether or not they want to be notified. So it's kind of like you can use that table as like a favorites as well. So you can say, this is this user is kind of linked to this article, and if they want to be notified, then you can.
But you can also use
Notification
notifications to send out to your campus community
Yeah.
to say we're generating a new web
That's
live
true, yeah.
web live on
Like a generic, more of like a generic type.
and that the admin would or editor would put out to the community saying if you have any projects related to.
Yes. Yeah.
You got something, Thomas?
You have user ID listed in each of these, but you can eliminate that in a couple of them you join. Is there some sort of performance gain for doing that?
Can you just take the question? I'm sorry.
So here you have it where you can join a notification to an article, which has an ID, and the article also has the user ID. So you could.
You're correct.
Now,
So yes, there is a reason for that. So that article, the foreign key there is to the user, which is saying that in this case that user would be the author of that article. So it's kind of different.
It may not be the same people.
it's intentional.
Yes.
That's the answer.
With the creation of a new software, there's going to be risks, both customer and technical. This is just a brief overview. We're going to go into each one of those briefly to save time. This is just the risk matrix, so you can see the probability by impact and where each of these risks falls.
12 too many risks.
The first one would be customer risk, and
This is going to time out at 12:50.
Okay.
But a new session for the next group will start at 12:51. So the end of this presentation will be on the link. So Eric and Diamond could join the link for the blue team to finish watching this presentation once this one ends.
Yeah, I sent Diamond a message to just
So,
join
speed
that.
through it. Would you still want me to speed through
Keep
it a little
talking, yes.
bit? Okay. We're just going to forego the impact and probability then. You can look at that later. This customer risk would be the customer just doesn't adopt to our delivered solution. And
And you mitigate that through Agile.
that wasn't awesome. You beat me to it, Agile. And Agile and case study.
And choose a more elegant phrase than a waste of time.
The second customer risk is pretty much new software. It might be intimidating for users. They might not have a developed skill set. And we're going to tap into ODU's.
3 times a day now.
Oh my gosh, they're going to be happy.
They're not real heavy savvy.
We want to tap into ODU's faculty resources and consult on design experts and make sure that we deliver a high quality user experience.
Cool.
Next one would be pretty much templates are not pretty enough. The templates that are generated with our product, and
you can't do a lot to control that.
yeah, we mitigate it pretty much by just getting the learning best practices and consulting with design experts, and also by keeping the public involved and by giving them incentives for feedback and trying to keep them in the loop. This one's pretty much readers do not revisit. We want to keep readers around. We want retention. We want revisit. Technical risk 4 is the existing architecture might prove difficult to add visualization elements, and it's pretty much the same as previous technical risk. Just kind of anticipate the problems and use best practices and research on other plugins to see solutions that are available. T5 is security issues with interaction points between WordPress and the other interfaces, and this is just the mitigation is just follow WordPress API and development guidelines and utilize WordPress authentication and security features.
What we really need to ask is, T5, is the security you're going to provide with this product better than what they have now?
I don't think any.
It's better than what they have, but it should also complement, if anything else.
Well, I'd say we're going to enforce, like we're going to create roles and enforce actually using logins and like security features that are there.
Here.
They use minus as a this is here, not something else.
Yeah, so you could do the MyODU.
But this is hosted outside of ODU.
Okay, it's hosted out GoDaddy.
Yeah, it's GoDaddy.
Yeah.
We actually discussed that.
The last technical risk is that Monarch Precious doesn't function at a desirable speed, and we mitigate that through optimizing and streamlining the current deployment, utilizing caching, compression, minified JavaScript and CSS resources, and yeah. And Diamond is going to conclude the presentation, if he's there.
All right. Yeah, I'm here.
I had a question for Aaron when he comes up.
Yeah,
Only if you
I
don't call him
have the same
Diamond.
question.
Is that a vodka tonic you've been sipping on during this thing, or?
No, just water. Keep my speaking voice fresh.
I want to know who the guy is by your left ear.
Oh, I'll move. He's a man.
And the cat.
Cat
And the
in
cat.
a French cafe in Paris.
Okay.
Better than the
Apparently,
closet.
they let animals roam around their cafes.
All right. I've been staring at him, wondering what the connection was.
All right, Diamond, you ready to conclude?
Sure.
Here goes the water.
You guys can't hear me, right? You can hear
Yes.
me, right? Okay, cool. So in conclusion, Monarch Press is a tool for university news organizations to use that will help produce dynamic and high-impact content. And, this content will engage readers and keep them coming back to consume more and more news media. And it'll be extremely easy to interface with. So anyone who doesn't have, any technical knowledge or only a little bit, they'll still be able to get whatever they need to do done. And there will be seamless integration with WordPress, which is, one of the most widely deployed content management systems. And last but not least, Monarch Press will utilize free and open source software to meet the needs of organizations with limited resources. And this will help, news organizations like Monarch Press to, compete in the race to provide the most captivating content possible. And
Okay.
that's our presentation.
Just the glossary.